So next we will talk about the quadratic equations. So what is a quadratic equation? A quadratic equation in x can be written as ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0, where a is not equal to 0, because quadratic equation means the equation is of degree 2, so you have to have the x squared term here. So a cannot be equal to 0. If a is equal to 0, you do not have the degree 2 term anymore. Okay, so there are typically three methods to solve the quadratic equations: factoring, square root method, and the quadratic formula. And so the most useful one is the quadratic formula. This is always work. Okay, but factoring is typically easy, and the square root method, which requires a special form, it cannot be used all the time. Okay, so we will talk about all these three methods one by one. So the first one is the zero product property, which is very useful for the factoring, which is the general rule for is the foundational rule for how to use factoring. Okay, so if a times b equal to 0, then a equal to 0 or b equal to 0. So if two numbers multiply together gives you 0, and one of the number has to be 0. Yeah, so or both numbers are equal to 0. Okay, so we wanted to use this technique to solve the question. So the first one is x squared minus 5x minus 6 equal to 0. So what do we want? We wanted to find two terms multiplied together equal to 0. Okay, so then we wanted to factor the left side. So negative 6. What two numbers add together will be negative 5, and multiply together will be negative 6. Somebody will tell me negative 2, negative 3. Is this right? No, because negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. Okay, so it has to be negative 6, positive 1. Be careful here. This is one of the most common errors here. Okay, so we have x minus 6 and x plus 1 equal to 0. So now we can use the zero product property. One term times another term equal to 0. Then each part will be equal to 0. Then x minus 6 equal to 0, or x plus 1 equal to 0. So what do we have? X equal to 6 or x equal to negative 1. So what if we have a equation like this, which is not one side equal to 0? So think about this. When you use zero product property, it has to be two terms multiplied together equal to 0. But if you do not have a 0 on one side, what should we do? Make a 0 on one side. Okay, so this means you remove all the terms from one side to the other side. So what do we have? X squared minus 5x minus what? 6 equal to what? 0. Then you use the same method here. Okay, so if you wanted to use factoring, one side has to be what? 0. So if it's not, move all the terms on one side, to the other side. Okay, typically we wanted to keep the x squared term to be positive. Okay. So the next method is the square root method. Okay, so what is square root method? So if u squared equal to d, then u equal to what? Plus or minus square root of d. So this means if you have a perfect square equal to a number, then u will be equal to plus or minus square root. Okay, so x minus 6 squared equal to 12. A lot of students what will do what? Complete the square. Now, because this is a perfect square, here is a number. So what is x minus 6? That's your u. With me? So then use the formula. What do we have? It's x minus 6 equal to what? Plus or minus square root of 12. And could you simplify square root of 12? Because 12 you have 4 at 3. So what is square root of 4? It's 2. So it's plus or minus 2 square root of 3. Yeah. So what will be x then? Then you add 6 on both sides. It will be 6 plus or minus 2 square root of 3. You guys okay? Yeah? Perfect. Okay. So what should we do here? When you see this, you see a square and you see a number. Yeah, maybe we can use it. Then, and for this one, you wanted to keep the square on one side, keep the number on the other side. So we have 25x squared equal to 1. So what is your u here? Is it 25x? Be super careful. It's your u, you have to write a perfect square. Means you have to move the 25 inside the square. So inside the square, what will be 25 inside the square? It will be 5 because 5 square will be what? 25. Are you with me? So this is a very important step. Okay, so what will be your u now? It's your 5x, yeah? So it's 5x equal to what? Plus or minus square root of 1. And x will be plus or minus 1 over 5. Okay, so the next one is the quadratic formula. Yes, I believe that all of you guys have already know this. So what will be the quadratic formula? So x equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So let's go back. Where is a, b, c? A, B, C are the coefficient here. It does not have the x squared at x. So A, B, C are numbers. Are you guys okay? So I would strongly recommend you when you do this kind of questions, first write down what is A, B, C. A equal to what? 1. What is B? Negative 7. C, negative 5. Write it down carefully and keep the sign. If you do not have any number, that means 1. So what will be x? Write down the formula first. Negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Then substitute. Here, be careful. When you have a negative sign, it doesn't mean that you have a negative sign, negative 7 here. You do not need the negative sign anymore. So you still have the negative sign. Then b is what? Negative 7. Be careful. Plus or minus negative 7 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 5 over 2 times 1. So negative it become what? Positive 7 plus or minus negative 7 squared is negative it will be what? Go away, 49. Sorry, minus 4 times minus 5, negative 4 times negative 5 is plus what? Positive 20. Okay, so negative 7 squared is negative 7 times negative 7, positive 49. Okay, here 2 negative sign, it will be what? Positive 2. So what do we have? 7 plus or minus square root 69 over 2. Okay, so these are the three methods. Nice.